Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of the Planet B podcast. We're so excited for this initiative. And Dr. Rao, would you like to share any opening comments about why we're doing this initiative?
Yes, to me, 2026 is a very critical year for humanity because we have to start solving our problem sincerely. And I have been studying this now for 20 years. And I know that going vegan will address all 7 planetary boundary transgressions. It will address the social justice issues. From a systems perspective, there is no way you can come up with anything better than this solution that we've been working on. And this is what this podcast is about. We want to kickstart 2026 with a deep dive into this Planet B solution, which is a systems engineering framework for both world peace and for creating a healthy planet. So we are going to begin by looking at the book, There is a Planet B, which you find right there. And you can download it from the climatehealers.org website for free. And if you want paper copies, just send me an email and I'm happy to send you as many as you want. So we're going to go through this book chapter by chapter. Today we're going to be talking about the first chapter, which is the world turned upside down, and how we have been looking at everything the wrong way around. There is a common framing that the environmental problem is so bad that there is no planet B. There is no planet B. We have to address this here. And what we are saying is that there is a planet B. Planet B is already being built, and it is the same Earth in which we have to look at everything upside down. So that's the first chapter. We want to invite everyone to come along and do this book reading and ask questions as part of this podcast. And we want to do a deep dive for every day of January. We can examine each chapter and then understand what this Planet B framework is.
So, Dr. Rao, for a world turned upside down, you decided to write a book turned upside down. So tell us a little bit about really the inspiration behind the title of your book, and if anyone has opened the physical copy of this book, I'd say most likely they opened to the last page and not the first. Right. So tell us a little bit about why you designed the book the way you did and why you feel that this title is the best way to get this message across at this pivotal time.
It all happened organically. The title came to us when I was at the Oxford Literary Festival, and Sally Dunsmore, who runs the festival, asked me to come and present a book next year. And she asked me, and I said, I can present a book that I already wrote called The Pinky Promise. She said, no, you have to write a new book. And I said, okay. And she asked me, what would be the title of the book if you wrote another book? And I blurted out, There is a Planet B. Because I had in my mind the book by Mike Berners-Lee saying there is no Planet B, where he goes into the details, the facts, and why we have to solve the problem here. And there is no way we can get to another planet and, establish a new civilization over there after destroying this one, which is what the current plan seems to be, or appears to be like that. And I said, no, there is a Planet B. It's just looking at this planet upside down. And what I mean by that is, look at it as if nature is using us, as opposed to us dominating nature. So flip the story, flip the script, and try to make sense of it. And when we try to make sense of that, then you realize how nature is such a loving entity. And she's basically saying, okay, I want to use you to do this. Now I'm going to wake you up so that you can start dancing with me, Because to me, anything that comes out of love comes with the freedom to choose. it's not about forcing people. So it's really about helping people see that they're part of something much, much larger. And we have been used, as opposed to us thinking that we are using nature. No, we have been used by nature.
That's beautiful. And honestly, when we look into the beginning here of 2026, optimistically, we can see that through this perception, there's a very clear solution, and each of us have a part to play in Planet B.
Correct. Yeah. So we are here at this time. See, I see nature as the perfect system design. There are no mistakes in nature. I mean, it's like everything gets done right. There is a purpose for everything. There's an experiment being run on something, and it finishes that experiment and starts another one. So nature is this perfect system design, and we are all part of nature, which means if you are alive at this time, there is some gift that you have to bring to help us transform our civilizations, transform our way of living, so that we are in alignment with the earth, and we are restoring the earth, okay, as opposed to extracting from the earth. Now, that's a different way of living. That's a different game. But you have to start looking at it as if you are part of nature. And that's the world turned upside down. As opposed to looking at it as if we are separate from nature and we are acting on nature and we are destroying nature. That says that you're not part of nature, when you look at it that way.
And do you believe that a lot of these climate issues that we're seeing today, like if we look at this optimistically, we can see it as just a call from Mother Nature, that she's really just calling us back to her?
Right. Yeah. Basically, Mother Nature is saying, where are you going? don't go off to Mars. Don't go to the moon to try and create, more data centers on the moon. First of all, why do you need so many data centers to sift through what's there on the internet? It's because we put a lot of junk on the internet. So it's hard to tell what is true, what is not true. And this is why you need AI to sift through all that junk, right? So we have to start throwing all this junk away, and start, basically, we need to bring down our needs so that you don't have to go to Mars and the moon and build data centers to figure out what is the truth.
And in your book, you go into that. So you kind of define as the way that we are exploiting resources now, you call it a climate heating civilization, and we should move towards a climate healing civilization. Could you share more about those two terms?
Yeah, climate heating is, we have been heating the climate for the last 10,000 years. Ever since we started agriculture, we have been chopping down trees and burning forests, and that heats the climate. So we are the only species that has this power to start fires whenever we want. And the earth used us to stabilize the climate. So for the last 10,000 years, we have been in what is known as the Holocene era, which we think magically had a constant temperature, roughly the same temperature, so that we could do agriculture. And William Ruddiman pointed out, it's not magical. We did it. We were part of that process of stabilizing the temperature. And now, over the last 200 years, we amped it up a bit and we increased the temperature by 2 degrees Celsius. Now we are called to stop that increase and start cooling again so that you can restore it back to the thermostat setting. The thermostat setting is the temperature that was there 200 years ago. That's a stable state of the system. See, I'm a systems engineer, so I look at what are stable states where we can stay forever, right? And what are states that are unstable, that can push you off into another potentially stable or maybe even unstable state. So it can go off into Neverland. Anything that's born eventually dies. And systems can basically collapse. So we need to maintain the life support systems of the planet in a stable state for us to thrive on this planet. And that's why I see this as so urgent that we need to make this transformation this year in 2026. Because I'm not sure whether we have already pushed the systems beyond this stable zone.
Which we'll talk a lot about when we get further into the book with the 9 planetary boundaries and the 7 transgressions as well. So you describe Planet A, which is the current systems way that humanity is exploiting the planet now, as you compare it in chapter 1 to a company town. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, a company town is where everyone is dependent on the company for their well-being. So I say Planet A is a company town, meaning there is a corporate overlord, that we are all dependent on to ensure that we get food at our table, to ensure that we get clothing when we need it, to ensure that we get shelter when we need it, and so on, right? So because we have this system, and it's basically a system built around the debt model. And you wonder who is creating this debt? Okay, where is the source of all this? And I traced it back to what was happening in India in the 18th, 17th, and 18th centuries, when there was one company that was running the country, the English East India Company. And then after the first War of Independence, the company supposedly dissolved and gave away India to the British Crown. Now, I have never heard of a company that voluntarily dissolved. And the shareholders all said, okay, you can have my wealth. So it's a donation from private to public. With massive donation of an entire country. So I said, imagine instead of them donating it to the public, they just melted into the shadows and started, growing from there, because every corporation wants to grow. So literally, if you imagine that the entire planet has now become one big company town, because we are all dependent upon a debt model. We all have debts, basically the entire planet is awash in debt. And to return that debt, everybody is working to extract from the planet, to return that debt. And as they extract from the planet and return that debt, more debt is created. So it's a never-ending Ponzi scheme in which we are extracting more and more and more. And then people like Jeff Bezos are saying, there's no more to extract here. We have to go to the moon. Elon Musk is saying, let's go to Mars and do it. And it's like, when do you stop the game and say, wait a minute, this is a company town, and we really don't have to be slaves to the company all the time, and thereby kill off the only living planet that we know of? Can we not change the system? Right? Why is it that money is only created through debt? Why can't we create money through other means? Why can't we play a different game? So I start asking these questions. And that's where you begin to formulate a Planet B type framework, a systems engineering framework for solving our problems. So I'm a systems engineer. Systems engineers are the ones that people usually come to first and ask, how do you solve a problem? When we were working on the internet, the systems engineers were the ones they came to and asked, how do you solve this problem? And we are trained to figure out the solution space for a problem. And within the solution space, find the optimum solution and so on. So we do other optimization stuff within that solution space. And in the case of world peace and planetary health, no one asked us. No one asked us. And I said, okay, you don't have to ask me. I'll do it anyway.
So you trace these myths, like what has created this toxic system of Planet A. You've kind of formulated it down to 4 foundational myths that have built up this tremendous company town that has now spread across Earth and is extracting all the resources on it. So what are those 4 foundational myths?
The 4 foundational myths that I identified in colloquial sense, are the protein myth, which is that you have to eat animals to get protein. And this is kind of drilled into us in textbooks in school. And it is very important for the system to continue, because If you think you can get all your protein needs from plants, which most vegans now know, then you begin to see through all this and say, wait a minute, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to get sick anymore. So you walk out of the system. Okay. Because this system is built on growth. Foundational is built on growth. So the first myth is the protein myth, which is that protein is only found in animal foods. And it's a myth in the sense that there's a bit of truth in it. Yes, protein is found in animal foods, but protein is found in all plant foods too. In fact, this is why the biggest animals on the planet are herbivores, right? Because they're eating only plants. But they don't tell you that. And they don't tell you that, and but you cannot accuse them of lying because they just omitted to tell you that. So through partial truths, they create this false impressions in people's minds. That's the first myth. And when they first said that, maybe they even thought it was true. Okay.
Right.
But and so what you think is true 200 years ago slowly becomes a myth. Second is the calcium myth, which is that calcium is only found in dairy foods. Now, I actually wrote a list of, I think, 15 different myths like this. And I was looking at those and saying, okay, what would I call the foundational myths? So I picked these 4, okay? But in the paper that we wrote, we formalized it into 4. And you'll see that they sound slightly different, but in reality, these 2 are part of that. Okay, come out of that. Calcium is only found in dairy foods. It's the second myth. The third is human well-being necessitates endless economic growth. And they want us to believe that. In fact, they may even all believe, everybody believes that in the system. Okay. So the system, runs on this myth. Growth is the only way to solve problems. So you have poverty, grow the economy. Then you can address poverty. You have hunger, grow the economy. You'll address hunger. You have lack of health, grow the economy. Then you'll address lack of health. Everything, they look at grow the economy and then we'll address that. Now, growth in any systems engineering solution space, growth is never an objective. We don't say we're going to grow. No. Our objective is to solve some problems. Poverty, no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. These are objectives, valid objectives that we need to solve. And in order to solve the objectives, if you wind up growing the economy, that's an outcome that happens. Growth should not be a goal. That's the point I'm making. So that's the third myth, that human well-being necessitates endless economic growth. And I'm saying it doesn't. And finally, fossil fuel use is the leading cause of ecological breakdown. And that's a myth that I watched them create in the last 2 decades when I was working on this issue. So I watched them create it. I was in the beginning when they were trying to create it, and I was raising my hand and saying, hey, excuse me, isn't animal agriculture more of an issue than this? And they ignored me, they pushed me out, and anyway, the truth eventually comes out. So fossil fuel use, if we shut it down immediately, it's actually a big issue. It's a big problem. So the 4 foundational truths on Planet B, to build Planet B, is that all plants have all amino acids and have complete protein. Now, these 4 truths have to be now propagated to every human being on the planet. Hey, excuse me, you were miseducated on this issue.
Since you were a child, sadly, since you were almost born, sadly.
Right, yeah. You've been miseducated on this issue. Number 1, all plant foods have all 20 essential and non-essential amino acids and have complete protein. How do I know that? I have a database of all the plant foods with about 11,500 plant foods, and someone went and measured it in the lab. And we also know that largest animals on the planet are all herbivores. So they are all growing. How did the elephant grow so big? If plants don't have protein. Okay? Number 2 is what Dr. McDougall said. If you eat enough calories on a natural diet, you will get enough calcium. Okay? On a natural diet, meaning people will come and say, here is this calcium deficient food. If you get 2,000 calories just eating that, you won't have enough calcium. I said, yeah, sure. But that's not what people do. This is why calcium deficiency is so rare among people who have enough food. Okay? It's only found in people who are hungry, who are being starved. Okay? Third, human well-being necessitates a sense of purpose, which is that we all need to feel like, as a species, we need to feel like we belong on Earth, number one. That's when we will become healthier as a species. And I'm saying as soon as we found out that we are changing the climate of the planet, we are changing the life support systems of the planet, you found a purpose. Your job is to stabilize all those systems and maintain them forever. So we are the caretakers. We're truly the caretakers of the planet, whether we like it or not. Because we have the strength and the power to actually alter them.
And it feels now that people are at least waking up to the idea that something's off. Like people are feeling, unhappy maybe in their jobs or a wanting of something more. And I think that goes right into this whole Planet B concept.
Absolutely. So it's that uneasy feeling that the old stories no longer work. The old stories that we were told is that go get educated, go get your PhD, and then you go find a cushy job and you contribute to society and retire and we'll take care of you. People are beginning to question that story, right? And that's why we have all this uneasiness in society. And so we have to now create new stories, a story in which you belong exactly as you are. You belong as a species. And within that species, you have to figure out now, what is my why? Why am I here? What is my role? Ubuntuverse, like Abhinav Ubuntu, he has this 21-day program where you go and figure out your why. But to do that, you have to have disciplines, which means you have to get up early morning at 5 o'clock and you have to start exercising. So without discipline, nothing good happens.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. After the 4 foundational myths, I want to talk a lot more about that concept. The discipline is key.
The fourth foundational truth on Planet B is that animal agriculture is the leading cause of ecological destruction, and stopping fossil fuel use precipitously, is suicidal for humanity. And that's because of the Faustian bargain of fossil fuels. So what is that Faustian bargain? Faustian bargain is a deal with the devil. It says, if I use fossil fuels, I'm going to heat up the planet in the long term, which is what everybody is looking at. But we also cool in the short term. And that cooling is masking almost 1/3 to half of the heating on the planet. So if you suddenly stop fossil fuel use instantly, if I were to wave a magic wand and eliminate fossil fuel use instantly, it will increase the heating on the planet by anywhere from 50% to 90% within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And not many people know that. So I'm saying, yes, go ahead and work on transitioning to clean energy. Go ahead and work on installing solar panels and promoting electric cars. But for heaven's sake, go vegan first.
Do you mind? I know, please repeat that, because it's so shocking. I mean, based on the general terminology of this climate change narrative, it's all fossil fuels. It's everything you hear, but you're saying that scientifically, from the data, from the research, that if we follow the narrative, it is literally going to blow up the planet.
Right. Yeah. If we follow the narrative of not looking at animal agriculture and only focusing on fossil fuels, which is what Al Gore does, which is what Bill McKibben does, which is what all these big environmental organizations are doing. When I ask them this question, they say, well, we focus on this, you focus on animal agriculture, and somehow it will happen. I said, wait a minute. If you are talking about solving climate change, your organization better be vegan. And you better go out there and express it Otherwise, you're going to have a very bad reputation in the future. Okay? So please, look at the data, convince yourself that what I'm saying is correct, that there is a Faustian bargain for burning fossil fuels. And everybody already knows it. It's like they're pretending not to know it. It's there. Everybody knows it because the data is there. Okay. We know that sulfur dioxide is cooling the planet. We know that nitrogen oxides are cooling the planet. We know that ammonia is cooling the planet. And all these things are coming mostly out of fossil fuels. And we know that all those gases that cool the planet disappear in 2 to 3 weeks. With the next rain, they come down. Okay, once you put them in the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So knowing that, the climate change is also telling us, please go vegan as quickly as possible. Because when you do that, you return 40% of the land back to nature, and you'll, restore the forests on that land. And that will suck down the warming gases like CO2 from the atmosphere. So I'm saying, fine, go talk about fossil fuels, but for heaven's sake, talk about veganism in a louder voice. And unfortunately, like Al Gore's Climate Reality Project, they've got like 400 odd slides on fossil fuels and not a single slide on animal agriculture. And to me, it's like you're miseducating the public when you do that. So I want Planet B solution that's based on the foundational truths. And these are the 4 truths. All plants have all amino acids and have complete protein. If you eat enough calories on a natural diet, you'll get enough calcium. Number 3, human well-being necessitates a sense of purpose. And number 4, animal agriculture is the leading cause of ecological destruction, while stopping fossil fuel use now precipitously is suicidal.
But it comes down to discipline. To engage this Planet B, to bring this to life. And what we've talked about before is it's already here. Mm-hmm. But as more people join the Planet B, then there does need to be some discipline. And you learn discipline through a story that you shared in chapter 1 about your mother. Yeah. So do you mind sharing a little bit about the love of your mother and how a certain situation led to you to really understand that discipline is key if we want to bring about Planet B?
Yeah. Discipline in the sense of creating a structure, an organized framework, and then following that framework to solve something. Okay, so because otherwise we can all be going around in different directions and we're not really being coordinated, right, to solve the problem. And so every aspect of Planet B is already here. It's already being worked on. Okay, it's already being worked on. And now we have to just create a structure around it, an organized framework around it so that we accomplish our objective of world peace, planetary health, making sure that all 7 planetary boundaries come back to the green zone and so on. To do that, you need discipline. You need to stick to the story. You need to stick to the framework, okay, and build according to that. Until we get there, okay? After that, once we have stabilized everything, then if you want to float around, maybe we have a chance to do that, okay? But right now we have a job to do, and that's what I'm trying to say. Now I'm an engineer, okay? So I can design frameworks, I can create models, I can show you what will happen if you do this versus if you do that. I'm not a politician, I'm not a religious leader, I'm not any of those. But I can tell you what works, what doesn't work, and why I consider something to be very, very serious. It needs to be addressed as quickly as possible. Right? And that's what I've been trying to do. And the story about my mother was, she loved me very much, and she was trying to get me to stop smoking. And that was her mission for the last maybe 15 years of her life. She kept trying to tell me to stop smoking. And I tried, and I couldn't do it. But once she died, I did it instantly. Because it was the only thing she ever asked me to do and I felt so bad that I didn't do it when she was alive. And so I did it instantly. And then once I did it, I realized I could have done it at any time if I had put my mind to it, if I had had the discipline to do it. And that's the kind of love that we need to find for our Mother Earth right now. There is no other beautiful planet like her, that is supporting life. And if we don't love the Earth, if you want to go to Mars and build it over there, fine, please do it. But the rest of us who are here on Earth, we want to love the Earth and fix her and fix the life support systems, because that's our strength. That's our superpower as a species.
And if you decide to go to Mars and you see what's happening on planet Earth, you might not be able to get back. So just stay and help us get Planet B going.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we need your talent here on Earth, fixing this on Earth and fixing systems. It's basically systems. See, what is happening is that there are human engineered systems and there are life support systems on Earth. And the human engineered systems were designed assuming that the life support systems are immutable, that they will never be impacted by us. We are so small, we will never impact them. And now we are discovering that's not true. Right? We are actually pouring so much chemical pollution. We are killing species left and right. We are destroying forests. We are burning down forests, and we have huge bulldozers that rip up trees, thousands of trees at a time. And so when we have the power, and we have nuclear bombs now, right? So we can just explode them anywhere we want and create havoc. When we have that power, you have to have that responsibility to know that you are impacting your own home. This is our home. Planet Earth is our home. And we have to figure out how to stabilize the life support systems on Earth, okay, when we are impacting it through our human engineered systems. And I say human engineered systems can always be redesigned. Right?
Very beautiful.
That's what I do. I'm an engineer, a systems engineer. I redesign systems all the time. If it's not working, I redesign it. So ask us. There are millions of us engineers who are ready to help to reimagine human engineered systems to be in alignment with the life support systems of the planet. Okay.
And that's what I love about this book is when I read There Is a Planet B, not only does it outline the current situation on our planet, but the solution. So if we look at these 4 foundational truths, we move in that direction. You talk about the systems that we can implement, and there is a solution. The solution is Planet B. It's very achievable. And that's what really excited me when I read this book is I read this and I'm like, we could do this right now and everything could change for what we want the planet to be.
Not only can we do this right now, it's already being done. We just have to give structure to it. So I call this the greatest transformation in human history. And that is the title of the next episode, actually. Thank you.
And we hope people stay on for that one too. So thank you so much, Dr. Rao. And I'm so grateful to be here with you. And we've got more episodes to cover.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where we live on the same Earth, but with better outcomes. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.
Is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. disaster in real time. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise. This is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk. Dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane. Fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Echoes and rise. This is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt. Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Metafoodians unite. This is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise. This is your hour. Metafoodians unite. Metafoodians ignite. Sharing love in the metazone. Lighting the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Together we rise. Together we